Study abroad is life-changing. This has always been my mantra because I personally have experienced and learned so much from my different study abroad experiences. More than just studying another foreign language and culture, what makes a study abroad or exchange program so powerful are the people who you will meet, the lifetime friends that you will make, and the unique experiences that you will share. I have been on 10 different study abroad experiences. One that has continued to bring value and love and reflection to me is the time I was studying in graduate school at Doshisha University in Kyoto, Japan. During my second year at Doshisha, I planned and led a group of 4 on a once-in-a-lifetime cycling adventure to the northernmost island of Hokkaido for a month. It was the summer of July 1993 when the 4 of us started our adventure of bicycling around Hokkaido. I had put our international cycling group together. There was Raul. Raul was from Argentina and had come on exchange to study at Kyoto Gaidai for 1 year. Then there was Titis. Titis was from Indonesia and was studying in graduate school at Doshisha with me. And then there was Nobuko Usui from Japan. She was an old friend from many years before. Nobuko was Japanese and was working at a kiosk at Ishibashi Station on the Hankyu Takarazuka line. None of us had any cycling experience outside of knowing how to ride a bicycle. But we bought mountain bikes and the necessary gear and took the ferry from Tsuruga in Kyoto Prefecture to Otaru, Hokkaido. It took 35 hours on the long-distance ferry, and that is where our adventure began. With more guts than brains, the international novice cycling team took off, pedaling the roads of Hokkaido. So many crazy things happened on the cycling trip as we rode 6 to 8 hours a day and camped out at nights. The 4 of us cycling around became more like a comedy act. There was Raul, who was fun-loving and playful, and we called him Mr. Quilombo, which in Argentinian Spanish represents someone like a Charlie Brown or Dennis the Menace in the US. He got us into a number of crazy and unique situations. Then there was Nobuko. Nobuko did not have any sense of direction and she got lost several times even though we were on the same road. For Titis, this was her big personal challenge and adventure. Titis was a devout Muslim and always followed specific prayer requirements. She managed to ride the entire way and never got off and walked her bike, not even once, even when we were riding up the steep mountain switchback roads of Lake Mashuko. I was the leader but knew nothing about serious cycling and camping or Hokkaido. Fortunately, we all survived and lived to tell about it. After Hokkaido, Raul returned to Argentina to take up the family business. Titis would remain in Japan a few years and then she returned to Indonesia. Nobuko returned to her job and got promoted and was the manager of the kiosk on the Hankyu train line. I left Japan and in 1996, Raul sent me an air ticket to attend his wedding. And so I flew from Hawaii and attended Raul's wedding in Catamarca, Argentina. That was the most fun wedding I have ever been to. No long speeches, no boring wedding program, just dancing and drinking and more dancing. Since the wedding, Raul has become a very successful businessman in his family's medical corporation. He oversaw 2 hospitals and several pharmacies in Catamarca. Then, 3 years ago, miraculously, he was elected mayor of Catamarca City. Then, in 2018, I get a Facebook message from Raul that he wanted to get the 4 Hokkaido cycling team members together for a reunion. I was back in Japan, working for the Japan Study Abroad Foundation. Titis had returned to Indonesia. Nobuko was nowhere to be found. She was a bit older, and by now she probably would have been retired. But when I called her old phone number, the line was disconnected. And so I went to look for her, asking her at her old kiosk, but no one knew where she had gone. So Nobuko Usui, if you're watching this video or any friend of Nobuko is watching, please tell Nobuko to contact me at the email mikematsuno@mac.com. We would really love to see you and hope that you are doing okay. So Raul sent Titis and I the plane tickets to come and see him in Catamarca. And so in June of 2018, Titis flew from Jakarta, Indonesia, and I flew from Osaka, Japan to visit Mayor Raul, who we could only remember as Mr. Quilombo. And like in the movie Big Wednesday, when the 3 old friends come back to reunite again, we reunited and met after 27 years. When we met Raul in Catamarca, Titus and I were shocked. Raul was now a big shot. He was rubbing shoulders with the governor of the Catamarca Province. Other big politicians and well-known businessmen were there, and he was even good friends with the Japanese ambassador, Mr. Noriteru Fukushima. There was a Japan event that coincided with our visit. It was called Happon de Catamarca. Titus and I had no idea what this was, and on the first morning at the opening ceremony, I watched and I teared up with disappointment when I saw the event only had 25 people attending, and so I felt really bad for Raul. But I did not take into account Latin American time because everyone was late, and by the late morning on the first day, there were hundreds coming into the exhibition hall. Then in the afternoon, there were thousands that came in. I was shocked that Raul was able to set this once-in-a-lifetime event to introduce Japan to the people of Catamarca Province. I teared up again, but this time it was tears of joy, of feeling so happy and proud of Raul.
And it makes me feel really touched that one man could do this, Raul, and that I had a small part in taking care of him, and that it would impact him so much that he would be able to set up something as big as this in the small town of Catamarca. That he, one person, set it up.
It was unbelievable that Raul was able to get the funding to arrange such a huge event. The event ran for 3 days and 120,000 people attended. People who had never knew or heard anything about Japan got to see Japanese culture, Japanese dance, arts for the first time. Raul was also able to construct a Japanese red torii, a shrine gate monument, that he hired someone to build in a park in Catamarca. It looked like a small replica of the torii in Miyajima. And the Japan Cultural Society of Buenos Aires volunteered to come to Catamarca and perform the Japanese dance, the martial arts, the music, and work in the Japanese food booths. And they lent their own personal belongings and furniture to the exhibition. Overall, I was touched and I was overly emotional about what I saw and experienced. Raul's Japan event being so successful, and the Japanese Argentinian community giving so much to the people of Argentina. It was really, really impressive. I also felt I was part of it in a very small way because during that 1 year when Raul was studying in Kyoto, he lived next door to me at the dormitory at Mukaijima Gakusei Center. And for that 1 year, I was like Raul's older brother. He even called me Oni-san. Raul and I were so different in every way except the way we treated and took care of people. We always wanted to make people laugh and be happy. In this way, we were the same. And since Raul was only learning beginning Japanese, he and I hung out together, and so I took him all over and translated for him. And when he got into his Mr. Quilombo predicaments, I helped get him out of those situations. So we became very close friends. And when Titus and I had decided to do the bicycle trip to Hokkaido, we decided to invite Raul and Nobuko. And so the four of us became the international cycling team to Hokkaido. What a trip! It would leave an impact on us for the rest of our lives. And I did not realize how much of a lasting impact that cycling trip to Hokkaido had on Raul until 2 years ago when Titus and I went to visit his home in Catamarca. Raul showed us an enlarged and framed photo of the four of us in Hokkaido. And he still had the bicycle jersey and shorts that he wore on that trip 27 years ago. And his mountain bike was still upstairs. The Hokkaido cycling trip definitely made a huge impression and would bond all of us for life. So you can now understand how a 1 year study abroad in Japan for Raul would affect him and impress him in such a huge way that he would be able to arrange and host a never done before event like Happon de Catamarca. And how Titus, him and I, although different in every way, religion, work, age, language, background, country, we are lifetime friends. And guess what? This past January, Raul ran for the governor of Catamarca Province. And he won! So Raul Jalil, the former Quilombo in Japan, is now the governor of Catamarca, Argentina. And he's doing so many great things for the people of his province. His leadership was quick to address the coronavirus pandemic, and he closed schools and businesses early before any other province in Argentina. That has led to 0 cases of coronavirus in Catamarca. Also, early on in the pandemic, he began the construction of a hospital solely dedicated to coronavirus victims and future pandemics. By last week, they were dedicating it and opening it up. It was already completed and fully equipped. Although the cycling trip was 27 years ago on my study abroad, I'm still very close friends with Raul and Titis, and then 2 years ago, I got to meet them, but I would also have the chance to visit Argentina and meet the Japanese ambassador and interact with the Japanese Argentinians who performed and produced such an incredible Japan event. From just one study abroad experience, the door of opportunities continued to open even until this very day with possibilities that I could have never even imagined before. So the choice is yours. It is really all up to you. If you are willing to take the risk, challenge yourself, you have the financial support, and go where most of your friends will not, study abroad can be your answer. As the Japanese say, life is all about just that one chance, one moment in time. Ichigo, Ichi-e.